So the Senate has voted to advance a gun control legislation that is going to do the following: expanded background checks for buyers under 21, provides grants for states that implement their own red flag laws, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of things going on here. 14 Republicans, mental health services, things like that. 14 Republicans went along with it, which a lot of people on the right are saying, what the heck is going on here? Well, when we have a question like that, and it has to do with the Second Amendment, got to ask our buddy Cam Edwards. Cam, what's going on?
Hey, Buck, how are you, man?
So first off, any surprises on the Republicans who went along with this?
Yeah, Todd Young of Indiana was a bit of a surprise, although I did see a quote from him, I think on Monday or Tuesday of this week, that indicated like he was, looking forward to seeing what they came up with. So he was a bit of a surprise. Murkowski was not as much of a surprise to me. And then, listen, we've had 10 Republicans who said all along, like as long as the final legislation followed that basic framework, that they were in support. So I wasn't too surprised. I actually predicted before a vote was held yesterday that this would get 65 votes, and it ended up getting 64. So I was pretty close. I was one off.
So now we are at this point where people, of course, have been saying until today, well, you don't even know what's in it because the text isn't public. So you're just going on, hearsay or whatever, right? This is how the people that want this stuff to pass play games in the media. Now they've actually got a text. Now they've actually voted on it. They dropped it, as I understand it, last night, 80 pages. So very little time, even for the Senate staffers, never mind the senators themselves, to go over this and see what's in it. Based on what we know, Cam, what's in it? And even more importantly, how do you see this actually being implemented, or what happens now if this gets signed, which we believe it will, by Biden into law?
Well, I think the biggest impact that folks are going to see right away is going to be the expanded background checks for 18, 19, and 20-year-olds. So if you're an adult under the age of 21 and you go to buy a firearm, you're going to see an immediate impact, right? Because we're basically talking about a 3-day waiting period, potentially as many as 10 business days, while the FBI goes into your juvenile records to see if there was any sort of, juvenile crime that would make you prohibited from owning a firearm. As far as adults go, there's also a change in the definition of who is engaged in the business of selling firearms, right? Because once you're engaged in the business, you have to have a federal firearms license. And it's still not a hard and fast rule. Like, they didn't say if you sell more than 50 guns a year, you need to get an FFL. Basically, the new definition is if you are selling guns primarily for profit, then you should be getting an FFL. So, I could see that some gun owners who have quite an extensive collection, who may, sell a arm from their private collection on a semi-regular basis, I can see that the ATF would now consider them to be a firearms dealer, and they would need to get an FFL. As far as the red flag stuff goes, I got to tell you, I don't know that we're going to see a whole lot of changes because, this is left up to the states as to whether or not they want to implement these red flag laws. States are also eligible now for the same pool of grant money for programs that don't involve confiscating firearms without due process protection. So things like veterans courts and other crisis intervention programs, if states want to adopt those strategies, they're still eligible for that pool of federal grant funds. So I don't think we're going to see an explosion of red states adopting red flag laws. Most of the blue states already have them in place. And I think that that's actually, while it's a troubling part of the bill, I don't know how much real world impact it's going to have, at least right away.